Wonderful to join you today. We are Recyclebot, and primarily what we do is build digital tools to optimize value chains. And we're currently doing work in Zambia and South Africa, as well as Nigeria. Though our focus in Nigeria is mainly on solar waste, and we focus on multiple categories of waste in Zambia. But what I wanted to share with you is a little bit more of our work we're doing in South Africa that actually is actively tackling the plastic waste issue. So we are adding value to post-consumer plastic waste at source. And when we started to do this about 3-4 years ago, one of the questions we kept asking ourselves is how many color-coded waste do we need to have to recycle all the plastic consumer waste generated now? What we learned might surprise you. Actually, we don't need any. We need mainly waste pickers and a little help from digital tools such as mobile phones and consumers who generate the waste. And you might ask yourself to say, but how? Over the course of the last couple of months, we've been testing and validating a lot of assumptions started out with and came to what seemed like a very uniform challenge we see in most communities, not only in South Africa, but also here in Zambia. We see the same challenges pop up in Nigeria. And one of the issues mainly is that the waste pickers who actually take the risk and do the most involving work in terms of just putting in their time and their labor, and also just sometimes investing some of their own money, end up making the least from the value of these materials when they are reintroduced to the value chain. And one of the key reasons for this was that waste processors, yet they might exist, and for example, in South Africa, you have quite a good number of waste processors, but still, they can't really connect with the waste reclaimers on the ground for various reasons. Part of those reasons being, as a corporate, you don't necessarily do informal businesses, for example. So there's a huge gap between the people who actually do the recovery of materials, the waste reclaimers, and the people who actually do the processing of materials and manufacturing to reintroduce them into the value chain. And what we're doing is developing a set of digital tools that are meant to work together to help waste workers, be it reclaimers, aggregators, waste transporters, collectors, and processors, to help them at every stage of the value chain, be it in just helping them to make sure they understand where materials are located, or, for example, to help waste reclaimers understand which households within their communities or which community centers like schools or hospitals might have waste. We're also developing tools to help aggregators map out waste. I won't dwell so much on this because I think it's a lot of the previous speakers have sort of touched on the benefits of being able to map waste materials and categorize them. And so quickly, the main components of the digital tools we're building are mainly three. So we're trying to integrate waste pickers through e-commerce into main value chains. We're also trying to digitize the logistics and transfer of materials between the different players. And while we're doing that, we're also looking at providing live help to users through both AI assistance as well as human assistance on the ground via SMS and offline. So basically, when it comes to enhancing the recovery of materials, especially plastic at source, one of the key elements we uh, found to be a challenge was the ability of reclaimers or groups of reclaimers in the community to be able to sell their materials directly to off-takers in a fair and transparent manner. So at the moment, we realize while the relationships exist within these different communities, the use of digital technology could make the market much more fair in terms of giving the people who reclaim the West the opportunity to set their own prices, the opportunity to inform the market that they have materials, the market compete for the price. And while we're doing that, at every stage, we're also trying to gather enough data to inform our strategies going forward. Again, not dwelling so much on the importance of data, because I think my colleague did a very good job explaining all that. One of the things we're trying to do with data is, as we are recording the transactions of the West speakers on our platform, we can create a history of their economic activity. And using that, we can introduce a way of scoring their credit worthiness based on the activity. And we see a link between that and giving more people access to financial services, especially West speakers. We also see that as a way of informing not only the key stakeholders, but also processors who might want to tap into markets, just understanding which locations might be suitable for setting up plants, which locations or which trends are currently happening in terms of material. We see that data as being very important also not only the West workers, but also for the producers in terms of their extended producer responsibility. So much recently in South Africa, a new law came into play, which compels manufacturers to actually track how much of the materials they produce, particularly packaging, and how much they recover. So data is core to their activities as manufacturers also. Like for most young people in so many communities in South Africa where we've set up like people on the ground, we find that young people and women are generally passionate about keeping the environment clean and safe. However, in most of these communities, there's a requirement by governments to pay safety or waste disposal. And so most people do not really have a chance other than just discarding your waste in the streets. So meet Menzi. Menzi lives in Soweto. He wants to recycle. He wants to keep his environment clean, but he doesn't have an easy way to dispose of waste that is affordable to him. And
I think we will probably take just a minute more, Chifungu, because we are eating to the time now for the audience feedback. So just a minute,
okay.
Please.
Okay. So West entrepreneurs like Francina, who recently just opened up an aggregation center in the community, understanding the value of waste generated there, still have a problem because waste processors can't really get in touch with them. They don't know where they are. And so they have to rely on exploitative middlemen who eventually take away about 60 to 70% of their earnings. So a cost barrier has actually forced Menzi to dump his waste in the streets. And obviously, it's not helping Francina grow her business. So Francina can now use RecycleBot to not only market her products to other aggregators within her communities and off-takers, but she can also give them a personalized service which helps them operate more efficiently. And we see this playing out with a lot of the West speakers we're working with, in the sense that they can now access recyclables even from consumers within their communities, from offices, from schools, from clinics, and they can sell these materials directly and more cost efficiently to aggregate processors at higher margin and with less labor pain. And so the story of Menzi is an amazing story because this is one guy who's coming from being just a community member who can't get rid of his waste in a safe and environmentally responsible manner, somebody who is actually generating revenue from waste. And he's now thinking of organizing his community so that they can recover a lot of the valued waste from the household. And he's also thinking of micro manufacturing some of the products that might be needed within. So thank you so much. I'll end there. You can learn more about our work in SA on this link. I'll be sure to post it in the chat. Thank you.